with the largest floods Victoria's experienced in the last 8 years.
So every year people are rescued from Woolshed Falls because they fall down it.
Prospecting for gold has never been more difficult.
What detector did you get it with?
2200 with a 24-inch double D.
A wise Scotsman once told me there's no such thing as poor weather, only a poor choice in clothing.
I've definitely picked the wrong clothing.
But rest assured, I took every opportunity to get out there and find those nuggets.
Yeah, boy, that thing is heavy. I'll take two. Mick, I'll take two. Fernie, are you doing a good job being a saleswoman?
Rain, a broken pump, or shine, this was one hard week of gold prospecting.
1, 2, 3,
Fern and I started our week by heading to the Lancoonie Gold Bash, a yearly event to raise funds for cancer research. It was a great opportunity to meet some of the subscribers.
This is Robert, and Robert found this. Look at that, that's a proper chunk of gold.
And businesses that have supported my channel.
You rock up to Mine Lab at the show, and then you just go like, can you talk about the manticore? They say, no. There's secrets. But I get to touch it.
As well as hit the central goldfields with my detector and pan. But not before seeing some Western Australian gold.
33 grams.
9 grams, Western Australia, 2003. A lucky charm.
What detector did you get it with?
2200 with a 24-inch double D at 11 inches in brown chocolate stringy clay.
That's about as all the gold secrets you should probably give away right now. These two handsome devils are from Coil Check, and they're going to give you a quick synopsis of the new technology that they brought out in their coils for the 6000.
The 10x5 is really good for tight areas, really super sensitive, good to get in and around the nooks and crannies. 9-inch round, really good sensitivity, almost the same depth as the 11. 14x9, you want a bit extra coverage, really good manoeuvrability.
Yeah, get in the open areas, really get stuck into it. So, yeah.
Really good for depth as well.
This is Darren from Lucky Strike. I want to ask you one important question. What would you suggest is the #1 piece of equipment that you would recommend to a newcomer wanting to get into prospecting?
Nowadays, when you're detecting, because there's a lot more smaller bits around than bigger bits, probably the #1 thing would be the scoop, which is really makes it a lot easier to find them smaller pieces.
That actually makes a whole lot of sense, because the smaller the piece of gold, the more distance you put between the coil and that piece of gold, the harder it is for the detector to see. So if you can thin out your scoop, or you can get the right kind of scoop, you bring your gold closer to the coil and you can hear it.
After talking with a heap of subscribers, it was time to hit the Bendigo goldfields.
After what feels like 6 months, I finally made it into the bush to meet this stunning man, Lee from Savage Prospecting.
G'day all.
And as usual, off to a good start. Not 30 seconds later.
Note Lee's feet. See how clean Lee's feet are? Because I'm an idiot and I jumped there to there, and now my foot looks like that. Got my first little target that I don't think is ground noise here. Somewhere about here. And if I don't get eaten alive by mosquitoes, hopefully it's not a shotgun pellet. Wait a minute. I'm a lead hunter today. I want it to be a pellet. It's out. It's out of the hole.
I can't even begin to describe how ferocious the mosquitoes are out there. There's a lot of standing water from an incredibly wet winter, and it was only going to get worse.
Ah, my first shotgun pellet. There's nothing quite like digging out that Bendigo lead. Meh, meh, meh. Meh, 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 meh. Not 20 meters later, second piece of Bendigo lead, and seriously, the mosquitoes, which I can't really show you here, the mosquitoes are ferocious. I'm gonna have to go back to the car and get some bug spray. Senior Lee has got a bit. Have a listen to this. That's not like a volume 1, is it? That's up there a little bit. But I promise you, this is just as important.
Thank you.
You'll have some blood left by the end of today.
I feel a bit lightheaded.
No, that sounds like a target. Meanwhile, Fernie, my lead odyssey continues.
Bendigo has produced the world's largest gold nuggets, and it's renowned worldwide for people being able to pull out ginormous pieces of gold using metal detectors. But the bush has been hit so hard that it's getting more and more difficult to find that type of gold, whereas the creeks have barely been touched with a pan in over 100 years. Because there was so much water around, I had an idea. For the first time ever, I was going to try panning in Bendigo and see if I could find less lead and more gold.
Got to give it some of that rapid tap action. Stupid amount of ironstone in there. Golds! Yeah!
That's good.
It's way up on the bank. Look at that.
It's better than the stuff you got down the bottom.
Yeah. You can see every person that's come along with a pan has worked the bottom of the creek. Gold is getting harder to find, so any common knowledge areas such as the bottom of the creek where that bedrock is unlikely to hold any significant amount of gold. All this bedrock up on the bank here has had mullock piles slowly erode over the top of it, and that's probably where that gold came from. If you look here, we've got a nice little dip, and that dip is going to be focusing all of the gravel that was up here, every rainstorm down through the middle of it, down into the creek where I found gold originally. Okay, as much as I really do want to stay here and just clean this entire gutter up, I've got to go home.
And so home I went to Nugget or Nothing Creek to try my luck at finding some Eastern Victorian gold nuggets.
The last time I was in this spot, I worked right here, and we had water so high it was running up over the top of this. And finally we've had a couple of clear days of weather, so the water's subsided, and now we might be able to get into some of the deeper areas of bedrock where the nuggets like to hide. This bedrock is cutting across the creek, and if I come over to where the fast water is, we can see more of that bedrock right here. Weapon of choice, the hook and the pump. All right, let's just see if we can move any of this. That is a great sign. Every rock is packed in tight. Alrighty, let's see if we got any gold. First pan of the day, you don't want to peak too early. I don't want to get too much gold, and I also don't want to get skunked.
History has taught me that if you find too much gold too early, you'll find nothing for the rest of the day.
I haven't really seen too much black sand in this, so I'm not overly confident we're going to see gold. Yeah, some flower gold, so that's a good start. We didn't peak early. That's not a bonanza, but that tells us there's still gold in those crevices. Is rock clearing time, because there's a lot of rocks over there. That's a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. No, and no. This is what I call oatmeal gravel. See how it kind of looks like cooked porridge? Not the colour, the texture. Every time I've found oatmeal gravel in the past, I've found really good gold. So I've got my fingers crossed. Nuggets? No nuggets.
When you're on Nugget or Nothing ground, it's an averages game. The more pans you do, the better your chances of kicking over a big bit.
Come on, baby. Oatmeal gravel for the win. Anything's hardly, but oh no, there's gold. Oh yeah. Oh, whoa. Talk about a decent speck count. Hell yeah, boy. The first pan came out of here, and we got that flower gold. That second pan came out of here, and that just dived straight down. So we're not on the bottom yet.
It was a great start, but with so much ground to cover, I had to get a wiggle on.
Every pan I'm pulling from that spot has been super consistent, which is nice because they're good sized flakes. But I want to see what else is just in this area. So I've prospected up this creek, found some deposits, but I want to know specifically what is the best deposit here. I've ignored this long enough. These rocks are coming out. Yeet!
Hand dredgers only work efficiently if there are no large rocks. Spending the time clearing the ground means easier dredging later.
Oh yeah. Well, I sit here on my rock panning. I thought I'd better answer one of my questions from a patron. Trevor asked if you're panning and you have nowhere calm to pan, would you pan into the flow or downstream of the flow? And the answer is you can do both and an extra one. If you pan upstream to the flow like this, the water pushes the dirt backwards, and so it's very hard to throw gold out of that pan. And I would suggest doing this in most circumstances. If you pan with the flow going downstream, the problem is that you have water wrap in on either side and try to pull dirt out of your pan. Extra dirt you might not want gone. And the bonus position is across the flow. What I do is I put my boot in the water, creates a dead zone behind my boot, and then you can pan into it. Oh, nice big flake. A couple of good flakes. Yeah, look at that. We got a whole bunch of specks that time. Even a real nice one. Maybe that little rock bar behind me is where I should be digging. And with the bedrock being so fractured like this, there's every chance bigger nuggets are going to be hidden deeper in it. Very next pan, and we are definitely on the money. There's an old piece of iron. No nuggets. Yeah. About the same. I don't think we're on the bedrock yet. It's about the same. I took 2 more pans out of that hole. One was about average and one gave me 2 dots. And the one that gave me 2 dots was on the bedrock. I think instead of digging in front of that bedrock, we're going to dig in it.
But before I could dig in the bedrock, I had to move some big ass rocks.
Oh, record-breaking rock. This big dually was sitting right deep down, hard up against that bedrock shelf. So now I can access all the dirt that's along that shelf, and I reckon we'll get some gold. Oh yeah, look at that.
If you look closely in the pan, you can see a bunch of shattered bedrock.
Still got that oatmeal gravel going on, but we're also into this really thick, sticky clay with shattered pieces of bedrock. That is where the good gold hides.
Depending on the type of bedrock, gold can sink up to 6 foot into it. So if you've got fractured bedrock mixed with clay and gravel, there's a good chance you're going to get some good gold.
At this point, I'm just like, come on, big bucks. Papa needs new shoes. I actually do. I've destroyed my boots. A bit more black sand. Oh my god. Yes! That's sticking its head out above the sand. I haven't even washed it back. Oh, oh, that is a solid freaking chunk. Look at the size of that bit of gold. I told you this could change in a single pan. That is a proper chunk. Oh, yeah, boy. That thing is heavy. I'm going to, like, at a guess, 0.3, maybe a 0.4. Was there any other gold with it? Yes, and our first bit of lead. That's what we want. That's how we know we've been prospecting. Actually, there was a reasonable amount of gold with that. That's not a bad spec count. I mean, it's a bloody great spec count, but comparative to what we've been getting for most of the morning, look at that. Nugget or nothing, baby. Nugget or nothing. That's what it's about. We could get nothing for the rest of the day, and I got my gold. Now the goal is to make all of the dirt in that hole disappear.
And so it was that I set about disappearing that dirt, all the while picking up little crumbs of gold.
I'm still pulling pans and pans of dirt out of that. And some of the pans are getting better. That's a good one. Look at how many specks are in this pan right now. So whilst I want to go exploring, I'm going to have to commit to this. I just want the gold. Come on, baby, give me another chunk. Am I just getting greedy because I really want to see another nugget? Oh, yeah, one nice flake up the top there. Yeah. All these bits have shape about them. I reckon this is going to weigh up to be okay. And like, you know, another piece of lead is always good. There's a rule. If you haven't found a shotgun pellet or lead, you haven't been prospecting. I've taken pan after pan out of that hole, and it's still giving out almost exactly the same gold in every single one of them. Look at this. Look at that. They are a really good size, and there's heaps of them.
Had the gold fever kicked in? Absolutely. Were they still finding gold? Of course.
Certainly not a very big spec count, but that flake, that's a good sized bit. As you know, the gold's been super consistent across there. I kind of want to try and move this big rock. There might be gold. All right, Bertha, I want you to go that way. I know everyone's going to be like, oh, what about the dirt on the rock? There you go. Come on, rock. Pay out. Pay out, pay out, pay out, pay out. You know, 5 good specs. Oh no, we got gold. It's just really fine. I mean, there's potential there, so we'll give it another crack.
A few moments later.
3 pans from under that rock. And that right there is the best one of them. Perhaps not worth the effort, but hey, you don't know unless you try, right? A very wise man once told me, if you want your gold to look better, put it in a smaller pan. Oh, there's that nugget. I have been here for about 5 hours, and most of that has just been me fiddling around in the same hole. We got our nugget. Look at that. Look at the size of that thing. And we also got a very happy smile of gold, made ever more impressive by the fact that it's in a small pan. I mean, just look at that clunker. That's got to be a 0.3, 0.4.
But unfortunately, it was time to head home. There was a major storm system moving in, and I didn't want to be caught in a flash flood. And boy, did it flood.
A very wise Irishman once told me there is no such thing as bad weather, just poor choice in clothing, and I'm about to go out into the bush after 100 millimeters of rain in 12 hours coming off the back of one of the wettest winters we've had in decades. Oh man, you can hear it. You can hear it from here. Down that way is a walking trail that takes you to an old timers water race. That water race was used to divert water around the falls so they could mine the bottom of the falls. They pulled kilograms of gold out from it.
Just bear in mind, this is what the creek normally looks like here.
The next time someone tells you that you digging a hole in the stream bed to extract gold is going to damage the creek because of erosion, show them this. This is Reedy Creek. You've seen it in countless videos that I've done. That is raw power. I made it. I almost crashed 3 times. I'm not even joking. The roads are that soft, but we're here. I have never seen that much water come out of this creek ever. For something a little bit different, I've switched out the dream mat and I've put in the sawtooth matting from Washington beach mining. In the time that it took me to get my sluice set up, blue skies.
Those blue skies were a whole bunch of false hope, because I assure you, it got miserable. On prospecting days where I got to hike a long way, I used very minimal tools. Simply loading the pay dirt into a pan with a classifier, classifying the dirt and then tipping it down the sluice increases productivity and not overall weight in your backpack.
The whole reason I do prospecting trips like this is so I can speed the process up. I can tip a pan down that sluice in like 15 seconds, but to do that pan manually would take me over 1.5 minutes. And by running the dirt over the riffles, it allows me to check to see if there's any gold, and there actually is some gold in this pan. That right there is one of the tiny little flakes that are coming off this piece of bedrock. Now that is not a lot of gold, but we're on a prospecting trip. What I want to know is what kind of heavies are in the ground and what kind of gold comes out.
Prospecting is not about mining lots of gold, it's about figuring out whether or not there is gold in the ground.
I've done about 12 pans off this bedrock, and I've only seen at best 3 or 4 little micro pieces in the bottom of the best pan. So I'm going to clean that sluice box out and see what we got for our 12 pans. I think we're going to see a little bit of gold, I just don't think we're going to see a lot. Any gold's a win because it's more gold than I had this morning, but regardless I think we'll be changing spots. Yeah, really super fine gold. Look, if I was getting that in one single pan, that would add up really fast because they are nice little round specks, but they are damn tiny, so I am going to look for a new likely spot. It's all dry again, so sunny and nice. Oh my god, it just drove sideways rain. I am soaking wet. But I have my river sluice set up. I walked for ages down the valley. This is a mound of gravel. That is a mound of gravel, and over here where my shovel is a mound of gravel. These mounds in all likelihood are waste rock. Gravels, they were moving out of the way to access the deeper, better pay layers, but they can still contain gold. So I'm going to run maybe 10 or 15 pans from this and see what I get. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm right. This is all modern debris. You can see a lot of ash and charcoal in it. So this is everything that happened after the miners put this dirt here, and this dirt looks very different. This looks like very close to the bedrock and the same sort of color we would hunt for in a creek. I've done 6 pans and we're just going to have a look because I don't want to spend too much time digging worthless dirt.
By this point in the day, I wasn't the only one who was sopping wet.
Wow, yeah! Be nice to see a couple of little flakies in there. You never know. The whole point of making these longer videos is to show you guys that prospecting isn't clean cut and dry. It's not a simple matter of going out and digging gold out of the ground. Finding it is very difficult and you're going to spend most of your time just looking. Well, I'm going to see if this pile has any gold in it. We only did a few pans, so we're not expecting a bonanza. But it'd be good to see something. Yeah, a couple little tiny pieces, about the same as what we got last time. I'd argue they're a little bit better size, but there's less of them. Oh, it's really not for lack of trying. But so far, that's my best pan. Certainly not for a lack of trying, but I think I'm going to call it quits. It is pouring rain, and I haven't found anything of significance. There's gold in the creek, I just haven't figured out where. I've definitely picked the wrong clothing. This is not good to be driving in.
After this, it was 3 more solid days of rain. And after almost a solid week of not being able to go prospecting, both Gadsy and I found ourselves in a predicament.
See, you plan as a human to do something. Like, you get your high banker, you haven't used it in a while, you go get your pump, you make sure you got petrol, you go to a specific spot that you know's got gold, that's high bankable, and then, yeah, not one, but 2 fallen trees. Bow, bow. And like, I have a chainsaw, but not one big enough to do a tree like that. Absolutely nothing has gone according to plan today. Finally, after 6 years, that pump is officially dead. Now, there are going to be gentlemen out there that tell me to rebuild it and fix it. That is not happening.
After 6 years of dedicated service, this pump has produced a lot of gold for me and I have some very fond memories with it. But I had just watched it explode, and I thought the best thing I could do was give it an honourable death. In battle. Because after a week of being cooped up, I was done.
I'm not even going to go into the absolute that has happened today, because we have a second high banker and then that's not working for other reasons. So, I'm done for today. I could go panning, but I don't want to pan. Like, I don't want to find 0.1 of a gram of gold today. I was planning on working a spot, so that's done. It's another wet, miserable day because once again, we're in a La Nina event, meaning that there are non-stop thunderstorms. Therefore today, side projects. The amount of profile pictures I see on Facebook and YouTube that use this particular picture as their avatar is a lot. So what I've done is stolen this picture off the internet, opened up Photoshop, and turned it into a black and white graphic. I need this. The print. Bam! Honestly, that technique works quite well for transferring images onto pretty much anything, but in particular wood. I'm 100% certain someone's going to be like, why don't you use a jigsaw? Well, I don't have one. While it heats up, I'm looking at the composition of the image and I'm thinking I'm going to keep all this dark black down here, but I'm probably just going to sand away all this stuff. And away we go.
Wood burning. It's like tattooing trees. And I figured if I was going to do a wood burning portrait of anyone, it might as well be Creek Jesus.
Finally up to the bit where it might go all pear-shaped. The old dude's face. I am not a professional wood burner. Well, that's a lie. I'm not a professional wood burning artist. I think we're not going to risk it. We're just going to go with the fat boy tip. And if it goes pear-shaped, then it goes pear-shaped. That's all there is to it.
But I needn't have worried. Much like a paint by numbers, all the lines were there for me to follow. And after a quick sand, I went back over the image and refined the black. And lastly, I covered the whole thing in some bee butt juice.
Well, that was a good way of killing another hour on a rainy, wet day. I guess I'm going to go watch TV or something because I'm out of concentrates. That's a lie, I got buckets of them, but I don't want to do them.
Well, there was one cleanup job that I couldn't avoid. Cleaning my gold out of the black sands that I collected this week. The black sands in my area are made from tin, meaning they're non-magnetic. And the millet table is by far the easiest way I've found to process this kind of concentrate. Well, there it is. All the gold I managed to collect out of basically one panning session. And at the very least, I managed to retrieve a really nice nugget out of that creek. Couple that with the fact that most of this gold is coarse, and I think we're made for a good weigh-in. But before we weigh up the gold, I just wanted to mention that we're giving away a Mini 6 sluice box over on my Patreon account. It costs a total of $1 to sign up. Scales are all teared off, and we're going to do the crumbs first. I'm going to guess 0.34. Whoa, way more, 0.47. Now for the L nugget, I'm going to guess, I'd like to be optimistic, 0.4. Whoa, close, 0.38. 0.86 is worth $71.67 Australian at the time of recording. But until our next grand adventure where I actually manage to get out for 3 solid days and get a lot of gold, that's coming, please give your dog a big scratch behind the ears for me. Peace, and I'm out.